Lechem Rabbi Sai, we are moving along with Hachzek Mishnah Ches. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai Kibel Mehillel Umishamai. And okay, before we get to what he says, I chapta spilus from this, and I want to share that with you. This is the first time we have one person being makabel from two people. Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai had two rebbeim, Hillel and Shammai, and we know Hillel and Shammai were two very different personalities. And a Talmud is able to be makabel from more than one Rebbe. This is an important point. It was actually it was something that I experienced, firsthand, which I always thought was, maybe a problem until I heard a great story. My Rebbe said over once that so Rav Lechter used to learn with Rav Olba for many, many years. They learned for many years together, Bechavrusa, and they learned certain Sfarim very, very well together. And one time when they were learning, Rav Olba suggested to Rav Lechter, you should get another Rebbe in this sefer. You should learn this sefer with somebody else also. And Rav Lechter, was very shocked by that. And he said to him, won't that affect our Messiah, our derech? Why should I get all confused with another way of learning this sefer? And Rav Olba pushed him, no, you have to get yourself another Rebbe. You have to get yourself another, you have to see it in a different way. And don't worry, it's not too much. And he said that Chazal say, Yesh Mokim Tefillin Baroish, for two batim. You could have two tefillin on the head at the same time. And it's kedai to have a different approach to even the same limud, the same nefesh chaim, but learn it with a different Rebbe, learn a whole different way. And it's not going to take away from what you're learning now, and it's just going to make you bigger. And it's kedai to have two rebbeim. And it's an amazing thing, especially two different rebbeim. I'm saying Hillel and Shammai, from what we know, were very different people. Very, very different people. So Rav Lechter, as an example, Rav Lechter has a Rebbe, Rav Olba, which was very Musar-oriented, very practical, tried to take a Chazal and make it extremely practical. And the other Rebbe that he found for himself was Rabbi Yonasan David. And Rabbi Yonasan David is Mamshech Darko from his Shver, from Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner, and he's a Goyin Olam, and he has a Mahalach and Kol Torah Kula, but on a whole different plateau, totally different. I never heard a shir from him, but the stories that we hear from Rav Lechter are just, the man is on a different level, and a different plateau, just totally somewhere else. And to hear shir from him is totally in like a different world, like very not, let's say, again, I never heard the shir, but it seems like very much not like Rav Olba, very not on a practical sense, more lofty ideas. Very interesting. I mean, my mashgiach as well also was a Talmud by his Rosh Hashiva, and also a Talmud of the mashgiach. Like, you can be a Talmud of your Rosh Hashiva and a Talmud of the mashgiach. It's not a stira. It's Hillel v'Shammai, same idea, mamash same idea. It's important to mention that because today we're available to so many different speakers and so many different things, so many different. Look at Hachzik, you have one limud and you have 10, 15 people giving a shir on the same Mishnah, and not every shir is going to be the same. Not everything is going to be the same derech. You have more of a chassidish derech, more of a litvish derech, more of a practical derech, more of a this derech, whatever it is. You can have multiple rebbeim. It's a murdik azach, a murdik azach. I find myself, I have the same idea, but okay, we're not going to be myrich too much on this. But this is an important point. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was the mamshech of the Torah for the next generation, and he was mekabel Torah from Hillel and Shammai. Enough said. Hu hayomer im lamadet Torah harbe al tachzik Torah la'atzmecha ki lekach noitzarta. Says Rabbi Yochanan, v'adayin ata barosh. You learned a lot of Torah, right? But you're still only in the beginning. Like Moshe Rabbeinu said, Ata chiloisa, right? Ata chiloisa. What was the pasuk? What was the lashon of the pasuk? You just began to teach me the Torah. Meaning Moshe Rabbeinu also was just in the beginning. Umasai tasig be'emtza ve'adasoif. When will you get to the middle? And for sure not the end. Ki ha-Torah aruka me'eretz midu rechava mini yom. Torah is so long and so deep. Ve'ein hasagas ha'enosh. Human capabilities are not able to reach the last end of it. K'tzei ha'achron. Ve'kama kol adam meruchak mimena. How far is each person far away from the Torah? Again, this is the Rabbeinu Yoina speaking about himself and his community 1,000 years ago. Ve'ech yachzik tova la'atzmai. How is a person going to be machzik tova to himself? V'lo also Torah achas minei elef mimashi yesh le'lasos. So you didn't do even 1,000th of what you're supposed to be doing. And as it continues, ki lekachno tzarto. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lemtziacho yesh me'ayin rak lasos toirosoi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't make you a yesh me'ayin only for one purpose, and that is to do the Torah. V'gam mizeh hatam ein lecha lahachzik tova la'atzmecha. This is what you're born to do. This is what you were created to do. So you were matzliach. Very good. This is the whole point. Imasisa Torah harbe ki lekachno tzarto. Mashal abal choiv shepora choivoi. A bal choiv owes $10,000. And finally, he comes up with all the money. He feels very good, paid up his debt. But we're gonna give you a shekoyah for that. Same thing, not by limit Torah, but also by all mitzvahs. This was the point of your creation, so no need to boost yourself about it. Now continues the Mishnah. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai had 5 Iker Talmidim. I'm saying Iker Talmidim. It could be it was his only Talmidim. I don't know what the Metzias was. But his 5 Talmidim that the Mishnah wants us to know about is Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkanes, Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, Rabbi Yosi HaKoyen, Rabbi Shimon ben Nesanel, Rabbi Lezer ben Aruch. Hu haya moine shivchan. Yeah. Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkanes bor soy sud she'ena ma'abetipa, a plastered pit, which any water that you put in it, because of the plaster, it saves everything. It doesn't lose anything. Rabbi Shimon ben Hanani Ashrei Yeladetoi, Rabbi Yosi HaKohen Chassid, Rabbi Shimon ben Nesanel Yirei Rabbi Lezer ben Aruch K'mayim Mizgaber. Hu hayomer Yikal Chachmei Yisrael b'kaf Mezayim v'Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkanes b'kaf Shniya Machriyas Kulam. Abashol Mishmoi Omer Mishmoi Imoy Yikal Chachmei Yisrael b'kaf Mezayim v'Rabbi Lezer ben Hurkanes of Imoyim, and Rabbi Lezer is on the other side. Machriyas Kulam. That's the Mishnah. We're going to see it slowly now with the Rabbeinu Yoina. Says the Rabbeinu Yoina, Chamisha Talmidim Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Okay, and these are them. Rabbi Lezer ben Hurgan is bar sid she'ena ma'abetipa. Shaloi shachach me'olam davar mikol ma shelamad. He never forgot what he learned. K'moy habar achar she'yisido yoyse besid ena me'abed tipa. Ki gam bedefanes ena ma'im nivlaim. Even in the walls, the water is not going to be soaked up because it's all plastered. So everything that you put inside, it just stays in there, long-term memory. So this is a big thing, Nowadays we have all these programs, Talmud Beyadoi, Raisa, whatever is out there. How do you, hold on to your learning and know your learning? I remember when Talmud Beyadoi first came out in Eretz Yisrael, it was a big tumult in the yeshiva, and a lot of guys took it upon themselves and this and that kind of stuff. I remember taking the pamphlet, and I brought it to one of my Rebbeim, Rabbi Haller. He should, still around, Baruch Hashem, should live and be well. He's a Murdek Rebbe, and amazing. His little, insights and one-liners, they last forever. So I'll tell you one of them. I went over to him, I said, Rebbe, do you think this works? It has a whole cheshbon over here. You end up chazering every blot 7 times, and you'll know you're learning. You'll remember you're learning Chazorah. And he said to me, there's another way to remember everything you ever learned. And I said, no, what's that way? He says, if every shtickle Torah you learned is the most incredible, unbelievable, fascinating piece of information you've ever seen in your life, I promise you won't forget it. Wow. 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 What a statement. If we learn Torah as like a chavaya, and it was like a new chiddush, and something exciting, and something you're not going to be ma'abed tipa. That's another malach, right? Chazorah works. I'm sure it does. But I could tell you certain things that I remember that don't make any sense that I remember them. They don't make any sense. They mamish don't make any sense. I remember before I knew how to learn, before I knew what lumdis meant, before I knew anything, I remember hearing a statement from an Adam Galav, from my Rebbe in Yeshiva, and I remember he said a diuk in the Gemara, and he applied it to the main lumdis in the beginning of Bava Kama, of the first parak of Bava Kama, the famous Brisker Rav. Now I didn't know the Brisker Rav, and I didn't understand what it meant. I just knew that there was a Brisker Rav, and I knew that Rebbe Langzim made a diuk in the Gemara, and I remembered the diuk forever. And I said the diuk, in the Gemara, and I never knew what it was until much, much later when I knew how to, I started learning how to learn, and I saw the Brisker Rav inside. I understand the concept of lumdis, and it came back to life 20 years later. And I remember I just asked my Rebbe, I said to him, I remember, you said maybe you said it b'shem your Rebbe. Said, he almost fell off his chair. Now, I'm not a bore in ma'abetipa, but I'm just showing you that, he said something, it sounded very meduktik, and it was an exciting thing, and that's it, it's there, it will never go away. Never wrote it down. I never ever wrote it down. I never chazed it. I don't remember the last time I learned Bava Kama, Davav. It's just, if you could do that. You could do that. You could learn something, and it's just, I never heard such a thing before in my life. The problem is nowadays that we heard it all. We heard it all. We know it all, right? So we have to train ourselves that, no, we didn't hear it all. I never learned this Mishnah before in my life, You have to make believe that and soak it in as if it's something. Okay, that's a eitzah. We're going to go weiter. Rabbi Yeshua ben Chanani Omer Asher Yoladetoi says the Rabbeinu Yoina Ashrei Yoladetoi. Just Ashrei, the fact that the man's born. Now, he brings many psukim where Ashrei is used. And when he says Ashrei Stam, he's referring to all those things. So one of the things are Ashrei B'Stam Kol Amidah Shadam Mu'usher Behem B'Makam Shizkir Amidah Zu Prati Matzinu Oisa Amur Ala Yira. So we find it on Yira Ashrei Ishi Rei Hashem Val Kvius Makam Torah. And on finding a Makam Kavua when you're learning Ashrei Adam Shemeli Lishkod Al Dal Soisa Yom Yom. And it says Ashrei Yoshvei Beisecha. And it's also referring to Dveika Shenemar Ashrei Tivcharus Korev. And it's also said about Emunah Shenemar Ashrei Adam Ois Lebach. It's also mentioned on a person that's sur mera ashrei isha shaloyolach batzas v'shoyim. Valzenem ashrei yoladet b'stam. Koloymar shoyim mu'usher b'kol amidas ha'musharos godol b'chochmim miskabel l'shem b'chol inyan b'chol midoisov. That was said about Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Continues the Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi HaKohen Chassid. He was a Chassid shoy oisim lifnim mishur sadim b'chol ma'asav. Valzenem b'harm mekayim is b'tal midas chasidu shonu kan. And this we've spoken about a few times already, that the Midas Chasidus goes above the Midas of Tzidkus, and it's like Ein Adoima. It's mamish Ein Adoima. It's a big mila in the terminology of Chazal. Shimon ben Nesanel Yerechet Shaya Oises Yogim La'archik Atzmim Averis. He would make Gedorim to stay away from Averis. That's called Yiras Chet. Elazar ben Aroch, Mayona Mizgaber, Shoyim Fulbal Harbe Bal Svaru Mechadish Dvar Me'atzmim Daitoy. He was always thinking, and he was mefalpel in Svara. He tore something down and he built something else, and he was Mechadish Dvar Me'atzmayu Midaitoy. Hu Ayoimer. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai used to say, if all the Chachamim would be on one side of the scale, and Elazar ben Hurkanus, who, what was Elazar ben Hurkanus? Ben Aroch? What do we say about Rabbi Elazar ben Hurgan? He was a Bar Sud, right? Bar Sid. Elazar ben Hurgan is Bekaf Shiniya, Machriyas Kulam. He would be Machriya everybody because nobody knows as much as him, because he remembered everything that he ever learned. Ratza Lemer bin an idea, Kabor Sid Shainim Abetipa. Veloy Bakol Chachma Yisrael, they harbe kamar. Nobody knew as much as he did. Shalei Shachach Davar Mikol Ma Shalamad Me'olam. Okay, now Bashol said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Imoy Kol Chachma Yisrael Bekav Ben Zakkai, Ve Rabbi Elazar ben Hurgan is Af Imoyim. Rabbi Elazar ben Aroch, that's referring to Rabbi Elazar ben Aroch, B'kav Shniya Machriyas Kulam. And it says there, Ben Yoina, Le'inin Achidud V'asvara Shibchoy, L'Rabbi Elazar ben Aroch, Al Kol Chachmei Yisrael, Nimtzeisa, Oimer, She'elu Shnei Atanoim, einon choilkim. They were both equally great. Now I'll just tell you a quick maisa. It's already late, but either way, if you're a base guy, you'll enjoy this. In the olden days, right, we had a Rebbe called Rabbi Weiss, Reb Nosson Weiss, and we still have today a Rebbe called Rebbe Revel. Everybody knows Rebbe Revel, Kol HaTorah Kula Mamish. And they used to talk in learning. I used to watch this phenomena. It was an amazing thing. Rabbi Weiss was giving shir at the time to the Koil and Galite in Yeshiva. And it was known that Rabbi Weiss just gave Pashat, Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos. It was the most difficult shir to sit through in Yeshiva. It was heavy machshava, very heavy in svara and lumdis, but it just didn't go off the page. Everything was just found in the Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos. He was such a brilliant man. He was able to see all the lumdis and the svaras in just the basic gapat in the Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos. Okay? And Rebbe Revel, everybody knows, shir would start from a ktsois, he gave a shir for an hour, and the whole thing is based on the ktsois and the nesivos and all the raid you can just imagine. I used to bring down the svarim with him, piles of svarim, literally this high. He used to make fun, he used to pile up the svarim on me, and I wasn't able to see past the svarim. So, just piles of svarim, so many svarim. So they used to talk and learning. And the joke was, or the saying was, is that Rabbi Weiss used to come over to Rabbi Revel, and he would, try to formulate a thought, an idea, and it comes out, right, after he, brought it out, he was mechavan to a k'tois, and Rabbi Revel knew the k'tois, and Rabbi Weiss did it. He just knew, he was he was ki'ilu the Mayna Mizgaber. He was so tifarain in chidud and pilpul and svara, and the other one was just a bur seed me'ena ma'abed tipa. He knows everything, and he never forgets anything. So that was just the, whatever. For me, every time I read this Mishnah, I think about those two Talmidei Chachamim. If you don't know them, I'm sorry. If you do know them, I'm sure you chapte geshmak from that. Everybody should have a wonderful day and a good vach.